All right, it is 5:30. I will call the meeting to order. I will begin with the pledge, if everyone would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business is to review the consent agenda items. Are there any items that a board member chooses to withdraw and deal with individually? All right, we'll move forward. First order of business would be to approve the meeting agenda. We would need a motion to approve tonight's regular board meeting agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, please. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up is our Wilson Elementary presentation.
Good evening. Welcome to Wilson. Hopefully, as you were walking in, you were able to see all of the space projects that are displayed. We did a family expo, and all of our families created a space-themed project, and we had probably 95% of our school participate in this. And then I had a family expo where they came in, and I would say probably 90% of the families came to enjoy the family expo. It was really wonderful to see and have them be involved in this. So that was our March's Reading Month. Typically, I do an Academy Award performance, but since it was after the day after spring break, it was a little bit tough. So we are going to talk about the new Benchmark Advanced curriculum that we recently adopted. We thought it was really important for you to share and hear about some of the things that are happening here at Wilson. We do have actually 6 out of 11 of our classrooms are piloting this. So we have some great teacher testimonials that we'll share through our presentation. And then Brandy Gapsky, our instructional coach, that is at Sanborn and Wilson, but really is the head person at administering the whole implementation of Benchmark Advance. So we're going to share with you what we have.
Hello, it's good to see you guys. I'm very attentive to you. We have no other audience, so you get my full attention. So when Dave and I were talking recently, when we had met together, we were talking about Benchmark, and he was wanting updates and things like that. And so I was like, you guys are coming out to Wilson for the board meeting soon, so maybe that would be a good topic to share with board members to kind of keep them in the loop. So that's how we landed on speaking with you tonight about Benchmark Advance. So basically, the process began last April to land on a new ELA curriculum. And we looked at, I think, 6 or 7 different options, and we landed on Benchmark Advance as the best fit for our district. And so what I'm going to do tonight is just kind of briefly share some of the successes and some of the things that we're discovering along the way. Because even though we previewed Benchmark Advance, you really don't know the program until you get into teaching it and have been teaching it. And we're still learning. This is our very first year. We have a cohort of 25 teachers across the district, K-5, that have been teaching it all year. And then next fall, the remaining teachers will come on board and they will begin to teach Benchmark Advanced as well. So I just started out with a little quote that says, do the best you can until you know better, and then when you know better, do better. And so that's where we were at. We were not satisfied with how our kids were performing test-wise. We were not satisfied with the materials that we were using to teach the standards. And even though those materials were great, we'd had them for over 10 years. So they were outdated, and they just weren't rigorous in helping us to get the results that we wanted. And so hence we started looking at the new ELA curriculums and landed on Benchmark. So to start out with, I have a quick little video. It's a kindergarten class, Erica Cronin's kindergarten class at Wilson. And what they are doing is a whole group lesson. So she'll be doing some direct instruction. And the kindergartners are on the carpet. And the lesson is a cross-text comparison using a Venn diagram, which you're like, whoa, go kindergartners. So they have read 2 different stories in their unit, and now it's time for them to compare and contrast the characters in the story. So I just took a little snippet of it. I think it's about 5 minutes.
So, a Venn diagram helps us talk about the things that are the same and different about our characters. So what I have done is I have made 2 big circles that overlap a little bit. And over here, I wrote the legend of the coquille, the frog. And here we are going to talk about what is interesting and unique about the frog in the coquille story. Over here, I've written the boy who saved his people, Little Bear. So we have the title of the story and the character. And here we're going to talk about Little Bear. Good. In the middle, I wrote characters in both texts. So here we're going to write the things that are the same about those characters. Things that they both did. Okay, are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about how their experiences were similar. What did they do in the stories? What was different and what was similar? What did Little Bear do? And what did the coquille do? First, let's talk about Little Bear. We already did a little review, but I want you to find someone nearby and remember and talk about all the things that you remember about Little Bear doing. Oh, well, let's wait till everybody finds a partner. Okay. Miss Hazelyn, let me see. Lucas and June. Oh, Waylon, will you please wait a minute? Allison, Tommy's going to come back in just a minute. You can work with him. All right, looks like everybody's ready. Go ahead. We are talking about Little Bear's experience.
I think that this had they got to fly. They got to be the same or not the same.
Three, 2, 1. Good job. I heard everybody talking and sharing about Little Bear. Okay, Miss Lauren, what can you tell me about Little Bear?
Little Bear walked in the forest and he was brave.
He was brave. Okay, he went into the forest. Now, I heard you talking about about where he was. He was in the forest. What was that forest like? Do you remember what season it was? The setting?
It was winter.
It was winter, right? It was cold. It was cold winter. So we're going to hold that in our brains for a minute. Okay, so he was brave and he went to the forest. Tommy, did you remember anything about Little Bear? What did you remember about Little Bear?
That
Lucas.
because that he's going to play in the
he was brave enough to go get some rabbits.
So you can see that even in kindergarten, they're starting out really using that academic vocabulary. So she's talking about evidence and experiences and Venn diagrams. And that was one part of Benchmark Advance that people are really appreciating, is that there's really a strong focus on vocabulary. And that, like I said, was Erica, who is a kindergarten teacher at Wilson. So next, I'm just going to tell you about just about 5 things that are really impressing us about Benchmark Advance so far. The first thing is that it's super cohesive. So prior to Benchmark Advance, we had a program called Benchmark Literacy, and that helped us to teach reading. But then we had a phonics program that was a separate kit of materials, and then we used the writing project for TWP for writing. And so we had grammar lessons housed on the AMA ESD website. So we had all the components of an ELA program, but they were all over the place. So it was a lot of work for instructors to always be gathering and going to the right place. And so we have lots of new teachers. Our new teachers are outnumbering our veteran teachers now. So it's really, really nice that with Benchmark Advance, everything is in one place. So there's a digital platform that houses every single aspect of the program. And then there's also the paper hard copies as well. So being that it's intertwined, it lends itself to lots of authentic practice. So the kids are writing about what they're reading, and they're comparing texts, and they're utilizing the reading strategies, and they're pulling vocabulary out of the stories that their teacher is doing during read aloud. So everything is just all integrated together, and it gives them more authentic practice rather than like practicing on this worksheet over here from this program, and then we're going to write about, a personal experience over here. Now they're writing a narrative, but they're utilizing the reading that they've been doing to help them within that narrative. So the cohesiveness of the program is a big plus. The second thing I was going to talk a little bit about was the alignment. So it is vertically and horizontally aligned. So vertically, it continues to spiral. So your kids you're gonna keep coming back to those concepts over and over again during the school year, but also the next school year. So it's always going to be building and building, and you're going to be coming back and coming back, because we know that we can't teach a unit and then never visit it again and think that we're going to be experts on that topic. We need to keep, as adults, we need to keep, what they say, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we have to keep coming back and revisiting all these learning ideas. Horizontally, and I'm going to advance to the next slide, there is a progression across the grades. So for instance, the first unit is on life sciences, and in kindergarten, the kids are talking about plants and animals having needs. But in 3rd grade, they're talking about animal adaptations. So the essential questions in each grade get more advanced, but it kind of gives all the students kind of an equally accessible entry point, because they're all going to start building that prior knowledge about the topic in kindergarten. They're going to learn some vocabulary in kindergarten, and then when they get to 1st grade and they have the plants and animals grow and change unit, they're going to have that prior knowledge from kindergarten and that vocabulary that they learned from kindergarten to help support them. So it really helps to make the curriculum accessible to all the kids, not just those that might have some prior knowledge on a topic, because everybody's going to get the opportunity to get that vocabulary and prior knowledge. It is rigorous. It's aligned with the science of reading, and it is very, very, very rigorous. I'm not going to lie, in the fall when we started with our cohort teachers, they were like, oh my gosh, this is too much. Like, this is so hard for our kids. And it's just more rigorous than what they were used to, especially coming back from COVID. So for instance, the read alouds that the teacher would do with students, those are written several grades above grade level, because that is an opportunity for the kids to get vocabulary, to see the teacher modeling reading strategies. But then the whole group reading instruction and the mini lessons that the teacher does whole group, those are on grade level. And then when they work in small groups, they have on, above, and below grade level materials so that they can reach all levels of learners. And then another really awesome part of Benchmark is the assessment piece. So it's our first year, and with our cohort teachers, using the assessment weren't an expectation. It was something that we wanted people to dabble in so that we could just kind of learn about them. So the students have the opportunity to take weekly assessments and then an end of the unit assessment. And they can take these online or they can take them paper pencil. The really awesome thing about if they take them online is that it will disaggregate all the data for you, which is amazing because teachers, as much as they want to, they probably don't have time to go home and be like, how did my kids do on this standard? What standards do they need more practice? I mean, that's asking a lot. So once your kids take the online unit or weekly assessment, it'll break it down by standard, like it shows on the slide, and you can see which standards your students struggled with. And then you can even drill down even further, and you can look at that standard kids struggled with, and you can pick out your students that were struggling with that standard. So then you can take those kids and pull them for a small group instruction, focusing on that standard. There's tons of screeners, like quick checks and things like that. There's so many different assessment pieces that can be utilized in Benchmark Advanced. But I think that this one right here is really a game changer because it really quickly helps to teachers to flexibly group their kids like all the time. So, so we really are thinking that the assessment piece is amazing. And then engagement-wise, the kids like the stories. Sometimes you have stories that are written for ELA series that will fit what they're trying to teach, but they use authentic literature that you might find at a bookstore or in a library, or so they're real pieces of literature that they then pull up into teaching those standards. So the engagement with the materials is amazing. You can use like a smart board or online. You can do a lot of the phonics activities online if you want to, but also always paper pencil. There's manipulative cards and things like that for the students and the teachers to use. There's songs and videos to teach, like especially in Lower L, to teach the different phonics patterns and letter identification and things like that. So there's just a ton of great, engaging materials. Mrs. Marceau is going to talk a little bit about the data that we have kind of dove into so far.
So once a month, we're able to meet with our teachers and go over data or any assessments that the teachers do in their classrooms. And some of the positive things that I'm seeing here at Wilson is our at the beginning of the year, 10 of our kindergarten students had IRIPs, which are reading plans that they have. There's somewhere that they're struggling, and now we're currently at 7, so we've had some improvement there. There was some concerns with the phonics program because they have some favorite phonics things that they do in kindergarten, and so one of the concerns were that they possibly weren't getting enough of the accurate phonics, and we're seeing that they actually are, which is very positive. First grade, we had five IRIPs, and we're down to 2. And then our 4th grade NWA score, I have 2 4th grades here. So the class 1, 78% of the kids increased 6 points on their RIT score, which is great to see. And in class 2, 100% increased at least 10 points. And then 5th grade on the NWEAA, we had class 1 was 71% of the kids made 11-point gain on their RIT band. And then class 2, 100% went up at least 8 points. So we're seeing some really positive results. Typically when you begin an implementation of a program, you see a dip in scores is what typically happens before it goes up. But we're seeing some solid gains with the curriculum, and these are the classrooms that are currently teaching the curriculum. So that's really positive for us to see this. Right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some student testimonial videos. So we have a few students that we interviewed so that they could share with you how they feel about the new benchmark curriculum. So we're going to share that with you right now. Yes. A cute
All
story.
right, good
we
morning.
had
What's
a-
your name?
Spencer.
And Spencer, look at Mrs. Kapsky. What grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
Okay, and can you tell me about the story that you read last week with Miss Cronin in your benchmark reading lesson? I think it was called The Legend. What was it called?
The Legend of the Cookie.
And tell us about that story. What happened?
Even if it was small, you can still do big ginormous stuff.
And so what was the story about?
A cookie winning the race.
And he was running a race? And
Winning.
winning the race. And even though he was small, he could do...
Big ginormous stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right, can you tell me your name?
My name is Lillian Doobie and I'm in 4th grade.
Awesome, Lillian. And you're in Mrs. Walling's class. And this year you guys are using the new benchmark materials to learn all your ELA skills. So can you tell me, what do you feel like it's really helping you to get really good at?
Reading and finding words and all that, and sounding out words better.
Awesome. And can you tell me, what is one of the topics that you've studied with Benchmark this year that you found really exciting and was really interesting to you?
We had the technology one about driverless cars and drones. I really like that one.
Awesome. And is there any special part of Benchmark that you enjoy?
The blueprint where you write down what you learned in the story, and from first person, second person, third person, and the narrator and what the story's about.
Awesome. So do you feel like you're having a good year?
Yeah,
Is it hard?
not really.
Not really. Oh my gosh, that's great to hear. All right, thank you. What is your name?
Ricky.
And Ricky, what grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
And can you tell me something that you feel like you're getting really good at this year?
Sounding out letters to make words.
Nice job. Good morning. Can you tell me your name?
Everly.
Everly. And what grade are you in?
1st.
All right. And Everly is going to tell us about her My Reading and Writing book that she uses each day. So Everly, what do you want to tell us about it?
We write in it and like write what the story was about.
Okay. And what else do you do in it? Do you want us to open it and show us some of the different pages that can help you to remember?
This is a story from place to place.
And so do you read it by yourself? Do you read it with a partner?
We read it by ourselves. Some of them we read it with a partner.
Okay. Awesome.
And this one, I did it a couple days ago, and how people traveled. And I wrote, in the past that they used to travel with horses. Today we can ride on many things like a plane.
Nice job. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Good morning. What's your name?
Tate.
And Tate, what grade are you in?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten. And Tate, tell me about writing. You told me you feel like you're getting really good at writing. Do you practice writing every day at school? And where else do you practice writing?
At home.
At home. And how did you feel about writing in the fall? Was it hard or was it easy?
It was a little hard.
It was a little hard. And now that you're practicing every single day, how are you feeling about it now?
It's easy.
It's getting easy. That's awesome. I'm so excited to hear that. Thank you. What's your name?
Kelly Wong,
And Kelly, what grade are you in?
5th grade.
All right. I know your class is using the new benchmark materials this year.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what is something that you feel like the new benchmark advanced materials are helping you to get better at?
It's helping me get better with my vocabulary and how to spell bigger words.
Awesome. And is there a unit that you've studied or are studying that you thought was super interesting?
The unit we're working on right now is survival, and it's probably my favorite one. So
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Kelly.
So to finish up our little presentation on benchmark tonight, we have Mrs. Shabbat and Mrs. Walling here, and they're both teachers that are teaching in our first cohort this year, and so they're just going to share a little bit of their Benchmark Advance experience with you.
Hi. Mrs. Shabbat, the other kindergarten teacher here. So today's kindergartners are really coming in with a lower level of vocabulary and oral language skills, and Ms. Cronin and I really think that this curriculum is helping to support that. It has really high vocab expectations, and the books that we have are engaging. The sentence structure is really good, and the illustrations or the photographs are mirrors of the students. They feel seen because they are multicultural. Am I talking loud enough? There's also a multitude of paper and pencil opportunities. We're really getting back to the basics because, again, kindergartners now and lots of other students are a little technology heavy, so they don't really have a lot of the fine motor skills, and the daily practice that we have is really supporting that. And as you saw from the first grader, we have unit books that we write in every day. We read, we search for things, we are always sharing with a partner, and those workbooks go home, and in the back there's always free and quick, easy, continued practice for practice at home with their adults. And I really like that there's a really good bridge. It's consistent. There's a consistent bridge between the classroom and the home environment. And the turn and talk sections, which is also daily in kindergarten, the kids are learning how to practice, to share ideas and grow their understanding of their place in the world and how to share that with them, how to take turns and have good conversations where you're waiting and you're listening, just stuff that they don't really get from technology. So I feel more confident because I'm teaching to the whole student. I get to use technology in a really good way, but when it comes to the student using their stuff, it is paper and pencil, very basic, which are skills that they tend to be missing when they come into kindergarten. And the kids are feeling really confident because it is rigorous and they like the challenge. They really like it, and they are exceeding those goals, and they're really excited. And I'm excited to watch the growth.
I'm Lori Walling. I teach 4th and 5th grade out here at Wilson School. I teach all of the ELA. With taking on the Benchmark Advance, it was very, I would say, scary at first. There was a lot of new information. At first it was like, oh my gosh, this is taking up my whole block. My kids aren't even getting time to work, and I was getting really nervous with it. But now that I've been in it and I've been in the trenches, kids are making so many more connections across text, even to themselves. I'm hearing a lot of discussion about it outside of class. I've also noticed an increase of student-led discussion within class. They feel more confident with the stories. The stories are more geared towards things that they might possibly be interested in. So they're more excited to share their ideas and be present during classroom discussions. Our writing has been not super great. I mean, I haven't been super happy with it in the past, but this year it has been phenomenal. The writing that I am getting. The first unit that we did was based on agriculture and corn, and out here at Wilson, we're kind of an agricultural community. And the kids really made that connection because they could see corn growing as they came to school in the morning, and they wrote about that, and just the things that they were talking about and the connections that they were making in their writing has really just enhanced with each unit that we've done. They just keep making those connections and bringing it back. They've also become more aware of spelling patterns, not so much about being able to spell everything correctly, but they spell it correctly because they're aware of the pattern that goes along with the vocabulary word that they're learning. They're not just, they're not memorizing a spelling word, they're learning the pattern in order to be able to spell words, even in their writing, and I'm noticing that a lot. I've also noticed that there's more exposure with this particular program to different genres across the board. Like we're talking about mystery, we're talking about science fiction, we're talking about, I don't know, like I think the last one, the one that we're working on currently is myth, and it's about Hercules. So, and a lot of kids are just never exposed to it. So it was very interesting just to see how they thought about it and making connections with that text. I just really cannot say enough great things about the curriculum as a whole. I know I started off really scared, but now I feel really great about it, and I'm really excited to see where, as we build from kindergarten on up, where we're going to be able to take the children, especially with state testing coming up. It's right around the corner, especially for lower L and well, not lower L, but upper L. We have state testing coming up in April and May. And with this curriculum, we've been able to break the writing down, which has been a struggle for us as a district, I would say, in the writing portion with the state testing, and being able to break it down with this benchmark advance and kind of show kids what an essay looks like, where we're going with this, why we need to have these talking points, and how you can go back to the text and bring those things in. It's been really awesome to see children be able to do that and be able to do it after I've coached them and then do it independently. So I really can't say enough great things about it. I've thoroughly enjoyed teaching it, and thank you for your time.
That is the end of our presentation. Does anybody have any questions that you would like to ask any of us here at the school about Benchmark Advance?
At one point, Randy, at the very beginning, you mentioned piloting. Yeah. Which is not really a pilot.
No, it's course.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means some of the staff is using it this year, and
Yep.
Sarah and I were part of the meeting there.
Yep.
Some of the staff is using it now, and then next year, everybody will use it. But
Correct.
we'll also have in every building a set of experts
Yeah.
who have been through it for 1 year, so that should be easier, I hope, for them.
Right. So when they're all crying, we can say, it's okay, we can do this, you can get through this.
Well, and we've been very intentional about starting professional development for the rest of the teachers this school year, so that by the time they start in the fall, they're familiar and they'll have their materials, before the end of the school year. And just we've been very intentional in trying to make sure that the transition for the teaching staff is nice and smooth and that they feel supported and make sure that they do their best.
My question is, how much of the materials that we're using are consumables, so they have to be replaced every year?
The only consumable is, they're called, in upper L it's called the text for close reading, and in lower L it's the My Reading and Writing Book, and it's one booklet per unit, so there's 10 for the year. And I believe we currently purchase them for the first 5 years. So after the 5th year, if we, which I'm sure we will continue with benchmark, then those would have to be repurchased, and possibly the platform. Other than that,
Anyone else?
Yes, Mrs. Shabbat mentioned the bridge between home and the classroom environments. Could somebody talk a little bit more about that? I'm curious. Sounds interesting.
There's, on the online platform, at the beginning of each unit, there's a letter that you can send home to the families, and it gives like 3 or 4 paragraphs about what we're doing. And on the back of it, there's activities that they can do and games that they can play. And I love that there's usually a box that says, go to your county library, get some books to read as a student. And
Sounds great, thank you.
We've also kind of had discussion about it's nice how the topics go across horizontally across the grades. We were in the one for children run and we're like, if you have kids in 4 different grades, they're all talking about the same topic but in different depths. So at the dinner table, you know, we like, what are you guys reading about? And your kindergartner and your 5th grader are reading about the basic, you know, same topic but just the different depths of knowledge. So that's nice too.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Thank you. Really appreciate it. We don't often get the in the trenches view of things. It's more of a, you know, high altitude. So thank you very much. That was wonderful. Very, very appreciated. All right, we are at our first opportunity for citizens or delegations to address the board. Do we have anyone who would like to speak this evening? All right, then we will move on. Action items, we do have approval of consent agenda items. Would entertain a motion to approve those items as presented.
So, either or.
Okay, motion and support, any discussion? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries, thank you. All right, moving on to additional action by the board. First would be the confirmation of the continuity of learning plan. Do you have any comments on this one, Mary? It's
This is just the renewal for the ESSER 3 grant. Has to be done every 6 months. We got a little bit behind on it, so we're playing catch up right now, but Kevin Walters from MDE assured me that as long as we caught things up, we would be okay. So this has to be renewed.
any discussion on the wording? Nothing has changed. It's as it was previously.
I think this was, I don't think there was any updates on this. No. It was just, yeah.
Are we allowed to discuss this even though there's no motion at the table? Because I actually do have a few concerns.
Yeah, we can certainly discuss now. It may determine whether we want to take action on it.
Yeah, certainly. So I actually do have a couple concerns related to this. This just came to us at the workshop a couple weeks or 2 weeks ago. And it's related to the ESSER 3 funds, which I understand is one of the requirements. But within this, it says the district may make adjustments to this plan in response to information learned regarding current and future variants of COVID-19, which is why I love the quote up here, earlier, because there is more information that has come along as we've developed these plans, which concerns me that some of these action or these components of this aren't in line with current recommendations. First and foremost, CDC, which is what they use as the reference, has basically categorized COVID along the lines of influenza, where 24 hours of illness you can return back to school or work. And so I wonder, based on that, why we're even entertaining the option to use that as justification for out-of-school learning anyway. There's other reasons for out-of-school learning, but, to stay at home based on COVID, I think is a flawed argument at this point. Furthermore, if we look in some of the other sections, particularly facility cleaning and disinfecting, it says here, regular cleaning and disinfecting procedures, which I agree with. However, it says additional cleaning and or disinfection procedures within a classroom, school, yada, yada. I know in the past we've allocated significant money for these cleaning supplies. However, the CDC recommends standard precaution, standard cleaning procedures, which is what our janitors should be using regardless at a public school setting. So I don't see why anything over and above what we already do should be included in this. Furthermore, if we look at the face coverings, of course, this raises some concern. And it says here that may wish to wear face coverings regardless of the current level. That's fine. I have no issues with that. However, it says the district will abide by laws, lawfully executed orders, regulations, etc., related to facial coverings. And the data that has come out related to facial coverings also does not support their use in COVID-19 other than well-fitting N95 masks. Other facial coverings do not do anything against COVID-19. Therefore, I see no reason that that's included in this. So I understand that this is a requirement for ESSER 3. However, I think that we're pushing something through that has obsolete data based on new information. So I think that that warrants some looking at it a little bit closer and maybe rewording some of these things that don't need to be in there anymore. That's all.
Thank you. Mary, what is our time frame for approving a continuity of services plan?
We are already behind schedule on it. I will say that as far as the cleaning goes, the additional cleaning and or disinfection is in there because if we do have an outbreak of COVID-19 or the flu or something like that, we do deep cleanings from time to time due to those facts. So
but I would say that would be no
why-
different than standard precaution because COVID-19 is not a fomite which lives on hard surface. In fact, it's very difficult to obtain it as it's a respiratory or airborne illness. So, you know, that's why I question that component of it.
Yeah, that's understandable, but the tie to COVID-19 is because of the ESSER grant. It was awarded based on the needs that sprung up during COVID-19. So that's why this is geared towards that.
But those things have changed. And it says here that we have the ability in paragraph 2 to make adjustments to that plan. And it just seemed that if we have new information, perhaps we should adjust the plan instead of just going through with what we've always gone through because it was there when we accepted the money from them.
If I'm not mistaken, and I would have to, because this was not my, like, in my arena. If I'm not mistaken, I think you had to have these bullet points in the continuity of learning. So that's something that we will have to check on, but I think that you had to address each one of those, irregardless of the current state of COVID-19 and whether or not it was transmitted that way or anything, so.
That's not my point. I completely agree with the bullet points being here, but the data within them is what has changed based on current information and would warrant just updating.
Okay,
That would be my take on it.
okay, well,
I would think at a minimum, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mary.
we can table it, I mean, it's,
I would have to believe that other districts are dealing with this very thing. What we were required to do months and years ago is not the same as what is required or recommended even today. So there have to be some modifications that schools, that districts have done, and perhaps there's even guidance as to how to modify your continuity of services plan. It might be of interest to look into that.
so I will say during the last webinar I attended with MDE, they did use Lakeview Community Schools as a prime example. So if you wanted to take a look at Lakeview Community Schools and see what theirs looks like, I know they're kind of all basically the same. The format was like designed off the get-go. But they did hold Lakeview up as a good example to look at.
I move we table this discussion till our April workshop.
The motion, is there support? Excuse me, is there support?
Support.
Motion and support to table the confirmation of the continuity of a learning plan at this time. Any further discussion? All right, if not, all in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? All right, thank you. Next order of business is the consideration of the agreement to collect the 2024 summer taxes. This is also a annual item for action. We would recommend a motion to enter into agreement with the treasurer of the city of Alpena to collect the district's 2024 summer property tax levy of 100% for the collection fee of $1.0125 per parcel.
So moved.
Support.
I did have a question. What was last year's? What was our increase from last year to this year?
I did not look.
Oh, okay.
I can email you.
Yeah, I would appreciate it. I should have it. I believe it was in the .91 range or something to that effect.
She said 3.34%.
Okay, that was the increase?
Cost of living
Okay.
increase. So
All right, thank you for that clarification.
I
Any further?
remember that number.
Any further discussion? I apologize, was a motion made? I didn't hear if there was. There was, okay, we have a motion, do we have support? Yes. Motion and support, all right. And all in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next up would be establishing Monday, August 26th, 2024, as the first day of school for students for the 24-25 school year. Any discussion? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. And we do have a change event, change 042, with Northern Valley Electric Services for additional electrical work in the amount of $12,158.84.
Do we have any details on what this entails?
Yeah, well, they're listed there, but Simon typed up something for me. I think he went right down the list. So project number 42, they encountered rock when they were digging to install the new light pole bases. There was an additional cost to bring a machine with a jackhammer to get them down deep enough. So that's $1,387.50. Number 43 was additional work to de-energize existing lighting and install temporary lighting for the abatement crew to work down the hallway to remove asbestos pipe insulation in the ceiling that was not included in the original scope, $320.25. Number 44 is to relocate existing intercom PA wire above the ceiling that was in the way of the new office rooftop air handler duct system. This is an unforeseen condition to get the ductwork around obstructions in the ceiling, $1,895.38. 45 was to add extra conduit and electrical boxes for office assistant door entry release buttons under the new casework instead of having to drill through brand new countertops to run wiring and wire mold. $101.70. Number 46 was to remove one exhaust fan in the office, missed on the original drawings. It was not needed with the new rooftop unit, $75.50. Number 47 was to add the 120-volt power to the new classroom rooftop exhaust louvers in 31 locations. Originally, Wyckoff Plumbing and Heating bid for them to install them in low voltage. We should be receiving a deduct change event from Wyckoff to offset the $7,631.76. Rework and reuse the existing APS door card access hardware on the main entrance to work with the new automatic power opener added during construction. This was not noted in the plans. $746.76.
From what I see, this is all taking place last summer, correct?
This, yes.
So this isn't, this isn't a change order. Because change order should be that it's coming, yeah. So this, excuse me. I have a problem with this. This isn't how business is ran. they went and did the work, and now they're telling us we got to pay. Just a minute here. That's not how this works with a contract. I mean, and they've got it excellent. It's all documented. But if you want a change order, you got to have approval of it. This is Woolgas's bill, not ours. Because the mistakes they made here on the the fan, the exhaust fan, the extra boxes and stuff like that, that's architectural.
Right.
I would say we vote no on this and punt it back to Woolgas. This is not, you can't walk in here and say, oh, by the way, I had to add an extra 50 feet of wire here because you screwed up. The job's done. Here's the extra $500 you owe me. That's not how that's supposed to go.
I would agree.
Okay, when I started flipping through it tonight here, I thought, wait a minute, this is all completed. And as far as the jackhammering, there's specs for everything on that plan. There should be no surprises in that dirt as far as what, if the architect did the proper pre-work. So that would be the only out I see on that one.
Yep.
Correct, we do not have a motion on the floor.
Correct.
I move we do not accept the change order.
There was never a change order? Is that, that's what I'm saying, is there never was a change order for any of this?
That would be what I would say, that there wasn't a change order, that we're just getting handed a bill.
A bill for okay. Yeah, that's, yeah.
And granted, all of this was done, but Woolgas should have said, hey, we've got to do these changes. So
yeah.
I move we do not accept this bill at this time.
I would support that.
Unless we can find a change order, but I don't want them to create one.
But if it's already done, there's no need to approve a change order.
Yeah.
You know, that's, a change order is in order to adjust moving forward.
Right.
This is retrospect, looking back, they screwed up and they want to charge us more.
Right.
And then just want us to slide it through.
No.
I would think that it would certainly warrant at least some further explanation on their behalf.
I agree. I would agree.
But with some explanation of why they're doing that. I mean, we wouldn't accept this as a private individual. Why would we accept it as a school district?
Well, and I certainly wouldn't pay someone $7,600 and change for an event that someone else is in the future going to be crediting me. I would want that done first, and then, you know what I mean? That's, we're approving.
I did pick that up too. I was like, wait a minute here.
Yes, that was a deduct change event. What, no, let's have that deduction first so that we know that that has come to pass, and then we can discuss, what else is needed and whether it's $7,631.76.
The other thing that I would be curious about is when the contract with Northern Valley closed. Because all this work happened back in July, or summertime. All that should have been closed first of the year. Unless there's something hanging out, but that should have all been closed. And so somebody handed Woolgas the bill and said, hey, you owe us for this, and Woolgas is trying to pull it off on us, in my opinion, so.
Any additional discussion? We do have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Yes, I want to ask Mary just to clarify, for my own benefit and the benefit of anybody who might be watching the video or reading the minutes. So this procedure of asking us to authorize a change event for work that's already been done, does not conform to our normal process for this sort of change event.
No, it does not.
Okay, that's important. Thank you.
Anything further? All right, so we have a motion and a second on the table not to approve the change order for Northern Valley Electric Services in the amount of $12,158.84 for added electrical work. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? No, thank you. Moving on to new business, we have our Human Resources staff update.
Good evening. This month, we have 3 new hires. Professional staff, we have Davina Teal, math teacher, Alpena High School. Deanne Rosner, second grade teacher for Lincoln Elementary School. Support staff, we have Heather Kamishak, assistant cook, Alpena High School. For resignations, we have Riley Height, instructional assistant, Lincoln Elementary School. Sally LaFleur, instructional assistant, Thunder Bay Junior High School. Chloe Limcool, instructional assistant, Thunder Bay Junior High School. Jennifer Dowling, lead cook, Lincoln Elementary School. Alexis Ziesman, instructional assistant, Lincoln Elementary School. Michaela Zarski, office assistant, Thunder Bay Junior High School. Elizabeth Quintel, instructional assistant, Thunder Bay Junior High School. Chelsea Duncan, custodian, Besser Elementary School. Nick Weiser, food service director, Alpena Public Schools. For retirements, Lisa Rosenbeck, math teacher, Alpena High School with 30 years of service. Lori Vogt, counselor, Alpena High School with 28 years service. John Pentar, history and political science teacher for Alpena High School, 30 years of service. Tony Linton, history and psychology teacher, Alpena High School with 30 years of service. Jennifer Spalmer, CET health occupations teacher, Alpena High School with 25 years of service. Lori Gerke, math teacher, Thunder Bay Junior High School with 28 years service. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up are gifts. Dr. Lawson? I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. We do need a motion to approve the hire of the new certificated staff contingent upon completion of proper certification, testing results, and HR requirements.
So moved.
Thank you. Motion and support. Any discussion?
Actually, I had a question about with our resignations. Now, of course, we've had our fascinating process with Raymond and everything like that. And I believe that we were already doing this, but are we doing exit interviews for folks consistently still? Yes.
Actually, as a matter of fact, we have a electronic exit interview that we send out, so it's convenient for them. They just have to have computer access, or if they prefer, and we're giving them this option, we can do an in-person one as well.
Are we getting a pretty good response as far as percentage of people who do that?
Honestly, I would like to see a lot better of a response. Our standard practice is that we reach out to them 3 times, and if they choose not to, then we don't push it. But we're not getting quite the response that I'd hoped to see.
Well, thank you.
We do need a motion. Oh, I beg your pardon. Motion and support. And any further discussion? All right, if not, all in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Now, Dr. Lawson, I'll get it eventually.
Yes. So our gifts this week consist of Walmart donated a $50 gift card for Lincoln Elementary School's Math Night Parent Engagement event. Ruth and Dennis Rabo donated $30 to ACES Academy to help meet extra needs of McKinney-Vento at-risk students. The crew of Alpina Dairy Queen donated hygiene care items for Thunder Bay Junior High students valued at $450. St. Paul Evangelical Lutheran Church donated a wide variety of clothing and school supplies valued at $200 to Hinks Elementary School. Pepsi Bottling Group donated beverages for the CTE Expo Night valued at $400 and Pepsi items to the CTE marketing program and for the 8th grade CTE visit valued at $250. The family of Terry Thomas donated $1,020 to the AHS athletic program in his memory, which will be used for baseball slash softball field enhancements for the upcoming season. I would move to accept the gifts listed above with gratitude and thank the donors in writing for the generous gifts.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All right, if not all in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. Moving on to discussion items, the Raymond Employee Engagement Survey is our first order of business.
Dave's not here tonight, obviously, so that is, he's just wanted this on here as a bookmark to kind of keep it going so that we can talk about things as he introduces it to the different staffs around the district. That's that.
Thank you. In his absence, I guess I would just simply say, is there a discussion that the board wishes to entertain on that topic tonight, or would we move on to other items on our agenda? Because he is not here.
Only just to say I'm excited about the process of looking through the data, thinking about things that we can do so that when people who were maybe dubious in the survey as to whether or not change was actually going to happen, we'll be able to produce results and show them, yes, we did take this very seriously. So I'm excited about that.
Agreed. Absolutely. And I like that this will be a recurring item at all of our meetings. Any further comments? All right, then moving on to strategic planning and our proposed vision.
So again, this is just a bookmark for right now. He wants to carry this forward until everything is finalized, but this is the proposed vision, which may change during the strategic plan process, but that's just a preview.
Any comments?
I assume this will be back open during our planning meeting next month. I know several people had some concerns about certain words, and this is an ongoing discussion. I think we obviously need to talk about it quite a bit more.
I would agree. The copy editor in me definitely has a few things that I would tweak. But I definitely think that it's an excellent start. And again, I like that this is something that we are collectively working on and doing it publicly in a manner that allows for input and modifications.
It'll be interesting to hear what others have. I have a concern about two words, but I think it will be interesting to hear what other folks say about other parts of this. So
Yeah, always.
definitely need to talk about it some more before we go.
Look forward to it. Additional comments? All right, thank you all. We are at our second opportunity this evening for any citizens or delegations who wish to address the board to do so. Would anyone care to speak? All right, thank you. Moving on to information and proposals. Any letters or communications? Nothing? Okay, thank you. Our next item would be our superintendent update.
So I just want to bring your attention to a news story that just broke recently in regards to Ann Arbor Public Schools. They have gone to 4.06% on their fund equity and projected to be at 2% at the end of the school year. They are looking at $25 million in cuts across their district. Their explanation for the deficit or pending deficit is staff increases, their union contracts, and student losses. They are now under the state's early warning, and I just want to stress that this is why it's so important to maintain a healthy fund balance. Our fund balance at the end of last year currently set at 23%. It's $12,338,172, sorry. So I know that seems like a lot of money to people, but in a district our size, it's not a lot of money. It's almost 3 months' worth of expenditures, which is a suggested goal point, or 15 to 20% is what MSBO requires or suggests. So while people look at this and say, wow, you guys are really rich, we're not really rich. If things happened or went sideways, we would have 3 months and it would be gone, and we would be in the position that Ann Arbor is in. So it's very, very important that the district maintain a healthy fund balance. And I just wanted to reiterate that and stress using Ann Arbor, unfortunately, as an example of where we do not want to be.
Should we make it bigger?
Pardon me?
Should we make the fund balance bigger?
I
Are you comfortable there?
I would kind of like the board to look at the policy, because the policy sets at 10%, and in my opinion, that is way too low. So I would suggest maybe taking a look at the fund equity policy and maybe changing that amount to a more secure figure so that the district does not end up where the district was 13 years ago.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's not a place that we've never been before. We know exactly what the repercussions are if you hit that tipping point. And I think, those of us, Gordon and myself, that have been here for quite a while, it was always, yes, the policy was 10%, but it was sort of understood that, oh, it's going to be more than that. Our goal is to always be above that. And we've maintained that for a good number of years, and that's because of fantastic fiscal stewardship. Thank you, and your predecessor. But I think you're right. I think that is definitely something that we should look at and possibly amend to allow for a little more comfort, because 3 months is, as you said, that's nothing. It's, one economic calamity, and those 3 months could be, taken up very, very, very quickly. Quicker than 3 months' time.
Do you happen to know when that policy for the 10% was written?
Gordon, do you remember?
Are you the only one that was here back then, or?
I think it was in the mid-'80s.
It would be in the wording at the bottom of the policy.
Yeah, it has been quite a while.
Mid to late 80s,
I guess I just wonder, at 10% in the mid-'80s, how many months' worth of operating expenses were there with inflation? Right. I would think it'd almost be better to look at a certain 3 months' worth of operating procedure versus a percentage. But anyway, certainly worth looking at.
Leslie, can we add that to the workshop?
Certainly.
To pull that policy and review it?
Yes, you could look at a certain number of days. I know sometimes you'll get a report and it'll talk about the number of days of operating money you have, and that's useful as a board member, because you can translate that into what does this really mean. But judging by all the nodding heads around the room, I think there's certainly consensus to bring this back. I'm interested to look at it.
I did pull it up quickly. It was last revised in 2019.
Oh, wow, a lot longer more recent than I thought. I think that's probably just a renewal of what was always in place. Yeah.
It was adopted in 2011.
11, okay, thank you. Anything further?
So, no, moving on to good news. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. The good news really highlights the March is Reading Month. And if you haven't had an opportunity to go to all of the elementary schools, their decorations are so adorable. I would encourage you to stop by and check them out.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to information or questions from board members.
I have one. I would like to announce Amanda Wentz and Nathan Posinski outstanding soloist, and they will be competing at Eastern Michigan University on the 5th of April. They were nominated for outstanding. And Ella White will be doing their literacy night this Wednesday night from 5:30 to 7 on Wednesday. If you can come out.
Anyone else?
I noticed in the retirement list a lot of familiar names and a lot of years. Is there anything that as a board we do to thank these people, or just, here's your watch, thanks?
I don't know if it's specific that the board recognizes in the past. What have we?
There is a.
There's always the event.
A celebration event at the end of the year where the board does provide retirees with an apple, you know, a little trophy type thing.
I just curious.
To recognize years of service.
Okay.
If my math is right, it's what, upwards of 170 some? Oh, thank you. All right. I'll say, see, I can do some things okay this evening. Yeah, it's incredible. What a list. It's always, you know, sad to read this list, but this one is particularly bittersweet. Lots of great folks. Wish them well in their retirement years, absolutely.
And I would imagine retirements will trickle in from now until the middle of summer, or maybe even the end of summer. I hope not, but it happens.
It does. It does.
What's the cutoff date in their contract for the notification? Was it March? Oh, it's already.
Anything further? All right, I'll call your attention to our advanced planning. Next up would be the monthly board workshop on April 15th, and April 22nd, regular board meeting, April 24th, board visitation, Wilson and Thunder Bay Junior High School, which is a rescheduled event. If there's nothing further, then we shall adjourn. Thank you all so much.